My name is Lindsay Archer. I am one of the professional advisors here with Aerospace. I am joined today with Carlos Boakley, who's another one of our professional advisors, and Lewis Archer, who is our assistant chair for flight academics. So I'm kind of just going to go ahead and hand it over to Lewis to get started and go over the process for the upcoming semester for both summer and fall for flight course registration.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. As Lindsay mentioned, my name is Lewis Archer. I'm the assistant chair of flight academics and an assistant professor here in the aviation department. So I have the responsibility to manage our flight course registration process, which is a little bit different than registering for a regular class here at UND that does not have any flight training associated with it. So the unique challenge we have with our flight courses is that your progress is tied, of course, to your flight training. And Campus Connection, as our registration system, does not have the capability to check your flight training progress to determine if you meet the requirements to proceed to the next flight course. So for that reason, we have an additional layer to that process using our AIMS records management system. And that'll be the first step that you'll use to pre-register for these flight courses. And we'll go through that process here in a moment. But the first thing I wanted to show you was our flight course enrollment website. So this website is available to you on our website. If we go to aero.und.edu, and then we scroll down and click on the aviation department tile here. And if we click on current students, and then click on flight course enrollment, that'll take us to our flight course enrollment website here. So you'll be able to find at first various dates and deadlines that are important to the registration process. So one unique thing we have for summer and fall is we register for those semesters at the same time. So we have a lot of different dates and deadlines that are associated with that, depending on when your course begins. But in general, keep in mind that the pre-registration process closes the Friday prior to the first day of class. That's kind of a general rule of thumb there for registration. It will open up, the system opens up on April 5th at 9 a.m. Central Time, and that applies for both summer and fall registration. So April 5th, 9 a.m., and that is not tied to your Campus Connection registration date and time, which is likely going to be different. A different date and time. So please don't refer to the Campus Connection date for flight course registration. Everybody is on the same date and time here, April 5th at 9 a.m. to begin the process to sign up for a flight course in AIMS, provided you meet the requirements to do that. So we'll talk about the process here. Again, another reminder, summer and fall, we sign up for those semesters at the same time. So if you, let's say you're planning to take AVIT 221, basic attitude instrument flying in the summer, you would also sign up for 222, which is the next course in the sequence at the same time. So you'd sign up for 221 in the summer, and then at the same time, you would sign up for 222 in the fall. And I'll show you how to do that. Now, the process itself consists of 3 steps. Our first step is the pre-registration in AIMS. You have to meet a certain flight training gate. So you have to have a certain amount of lessons completed in your current flight course to pre-register in AIMS for the next flight course. When you pre-register in AIMS, that will reserve or secure your seat in that particular class. The next step number 2 will be Campus Connection registration. That's the official record of registration for the university. So you are not enrolled in the class until Campus Connection registration has been completed. To enroll in Campus Connection, to complete that second step, you must be totally finished with all of your previous flight training. So step 1, you have to meet a certain lesson requirement. Step 2, have to be totally done with that flight training to register in Campus Connection. And then finally, step number 3 is to select a flight lab for your next flight course. And you'll do that through AIMS as well. So if you are planning to register for AVIT 102 in the summer or the fall, obviously you don't have a previous flight course that applies. So everybody would be eligible to sign up for 102 or pre-register for 102 in Ames, complete step one. But we will have to check and verify that your GPA is sufficient in accordance with our policy. And once we verified that, then you will get the permission to register, proceed to step two in Campus Connection. We have a lot of detailed information here, especially for 102 students. If you plan to take 102 in the summer or fall, there's a lot of very important information that you have to review and you have to be prepared for to avoid any delays in beginning your flight training. So make sure you review all of the information that is linked at that link you see right there. If you are a non-US citizen, so if you're here on a student visa, or if you are a permanent resident, you have some additional requirements per the TSA that you have to comply with. You may also need to complete a FAA English evaluation if English is not your first language. So those are in accordance with both TSA and FAA regulatory requirements. So make sure that you review those in detail to, again, avoid any unexpected delays in beginning your flight training. At the bottom of this page, we have a few frequently asked questions. There's a lot of common questions that we get this time of year. Chances are you can probably find the answer here. If you cannot find the answer here, then you can certainly ask one of us for clarification. So that's our flight course enrollment website. So again, this is all the information you need to know. All the steps are laid out here to register for your next flight course. As far as the process itself, I'm going to change to a different window here. Let's see, and we're going to go to Ames Web. Let's do this. Okay, so here we are at Ames Web, and you can navigate here by going to ames.aero.und.edu, and that'll take you to this website. And we are going to log in here. I've got a test account that I'm going to use to demonstrate how to sign up for our flight course. So you'll simply enter your username and password here to log into Ames, and you'll be taken to this kind of dashboard or landing page for our Ames system. So when you log in here, you'll see a link underneath the message center. It says AVIT flight course registration is open. So you'll click on that link, and that will take you to this page. At this point, this page doesn't have much information, but when registration opens up, you'll see a lot of very detailed information here that will tell you what lessons you need to have completed to sign up for the next course. Now, in general, you'll need 22 lessons completed in the previous flight course to complete this first step here in Ames. If you're in 102 right now, you'll actually need 26 lessons completed in 102 to sign up for AVIT 221, which would be the next course in the sequence. And then for a couple of our courses, such as 323 and 415, those courses don't have 22 lessons. So you have to be complete with AVIT 323 and be complete with AVIT 415 to sign up for the subsequent course in this first step here in Ames. So again, all of that information for each individual course will be laid out on this page when registration opens. So the process itself, when we log in here, we're going to press this button here, click here to register. So what I see right now is basically my current course. So we're currently in the spring 2021 semester, and I'm currently taking AVIT 102 Introduction to Aviation. So I can see that's already in there. So if I'm taking 102 right now, my goal is to sign up. The first scenario we'll present here is signing up for 221 in the summer and then 222 in the fall. So remember, we sign up for both summer and fall at the same time. So to sign up for the summer, down here where it says reserve a course, I'm going to select the term summer 2021. The next course in the sequence is AVIT 221. So I'm going to select that one here, and I'm going to press go. And that gives me a list of all the available sections that are open to me in the summer. So one thing to note here, you'll see a count for seats you'll see account for added and account for waitlist. So right now, this is telling me that obviously 0 people have reserved a seat in this class since, registration is not open yet. But once that opens up, this number will obviously increase until we hit that 34 number. And then once we hit 34, we're then going to be running a wait list. So if you are at that point, you get onto this list when the class is full, you'll be placed on the wait list. Keep in mind that the wait list provides no guarantee, no assurance that you'll be able to take that course, that you'll be able to get a seat in that course. So if you are on the wait list, you will have to be patient as we move closer to the first day of class. Oftentimes, students choose to drop the class as we get closer to the first day, or a student may not finish their flight training in time, in which case they would be removed from that list, which would open up space for those on the wait list who are done with that flight training. So in this case, we obviously have space available, both of these sections here. Keep in mind our summer semester has various dynamic dates. So we actually have a section of 221 that begins right away on May 17th. And then we also have another section that begins a little bit later on June 28th. So whichever of those sections works for you in the summertime, and assuming there's space available, I'm going to go ahead and reserve a seat in this first section here. So I'm going to simply click on this button that says reserve. It'll ask if I want to do this. The answer is yes. And then I will be informed that I've been added to that roster. And again, I'll proceed to step 2 to register in Campus Connection. Once I have finished my 102 flight training, I have to be totally done with 102 flight training to proceed to step number 2 and register in Campus Connection. Now, keep in mind that that process from step 1 to step 2 is not automatic. So when you are finished with your 102 flight training in this example, you will receive an email shortly after that that will state that you can now go and proceed to step 2 and register in Campus Connection. If you try to register in Campus Connection before you get that email notification, the system will not allow you to do that. And the reason for that is we have to actually go into Campus Connection and manually enter your student ID number into Campus Connection to allow you to register for that course. So again, we're monitoring every student's progress. When the student completes the flight training, we enter your student ID into Campus Connection. We send you the email. And once you get that email, you can go into Campus Connection and proceed to step 2 and register for that course. So with that information, we can click on OK. And then it's going to ask to confirm my email address. So this is where we will send that email notification to you that states you can go to step 2 to register in Campus Connection. So we'll confirm that that is the correct email. And now we see that we have 221 added here for the summer 2021 term. Now, if we decide later on that maybe we don't want to take 221 right away in May, we wanted to switch to that June section, we could use the switch function here. And then we just simply select the other section. We go through the same steps here. And now we've moved over to the other section. Very simple. So that's how you would switch between different sections. So right now, again, I'm taking 102 this semester in the spring right now. I have at least 26 lessons completed in 102, which allows me to pre-register for 221 in the summer. And since I was able to register for 221 in the summer, I can also pre-register for 222 in the fall. So I'm going to come down to term. I'm going to select the fall 2021 term, go to course and select 222. Okay, and then here's my options for 222 in the fall. So we have 4 available sections here at the moment. And of course, you can see the days and times here. And let's say we want to do this one. So we'll click on the reserve button. We'll confirm that we want to reserve this section. Again, we'll wait, we'll need to be complete with 221 flight training to be able to proceed to step 2 and register in Campus Connection. So we'll accept that. We'll verify our email address and then press confirm. So now I have 221. I'm pre-registered for that in the summer. Since my status is added, that seat is reserved for me as long as I complete my 102 flight training prior to that first day of class. Same thing here for 222. I have a seat of added. That means my seat is reserved in that class, assuming I can complete 221 flight training by the first day of that 222 class in the fall. So that's kind of a quick run through of how we go and pre-register for course both in the summer and the fall. Now, of course, not every student is going to take a new flight course in the summer. And that's totally fine. We don't expect, there's no requirement that you take a flight course in the summer. In fact, our capacity is very limited over the summer, so we cannot accommodate the same amount of students over the summer that we can normally accommodate in the fall and the spring. So in that case, to demonstrate how to just sign up for the fall instead, first of all, I'm going to drop these two courses here, and you see that's a very simple process. We just press drop. We accept that, and then I'll drop the summer course here as well. Okay, so now the scenario is, again, I'm taking 102 right now in the spring. Perhaps I don't expect that I'm going to finish 102 in time, or maybe I just, want to take the summer off and come back in the fall to start 221. So in that scenario, I'm just going to simply select that fall term, and we'll select 221. And we'll go through the same process, reserve a seat in one of these sections here. We get the same information, confirm our email address, and there we have 221, a seat there reserved for the fall semester. So again, if you plan to take a new flight course in the summer, make sure you sign up and pre-register for both your summer and your fall flight course. If you do not plan to take a flight course in the summer, only sign up for the fall flight course. Okay, so that basically completes step one of the process here in Ames. And again, step two is our campus connection registration. You will get an email notification when you can proceed to step two, and you are not officially enrolled in the class until step two has been completed. Okay. After step two is completed and you're registered in Campus Connection, you will then go back into Ames. And when you log into Ames back here on the home page, you will see there'll be another link up here that basically says Flight Lab. And you'll click on that Flight Lab registration. I'm going to click on this link here. So there's nothing in there right now, but after about 24 hours from when you register in Campus Connection, you'll click here and you'll be able to see a list of all the available flight labs that you can select. So make sure you get that done and have a flight lab before the first day of class. Okay. All right. So that is kind of our process there for pre-registering and registering for a flight course at Ames. So happy to take any questions if we have any of those.
Yeah, if anyone wants to go ahead, if you have questions, and we have our Q&A function, please go in and put in any questions that you have in the Q&A, and then we can answer them here. I'll give a few minutes for those to come in if you do have questions. If you don't have any questions right now, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Make sure as registration comes up that you're checking your accounts, making sure you don't have any holds on your accounts, and reaching out to your advisors to set up meetings if you'd like to meet with your advisor. But in the meantime, if you have questions, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A. So far, we don't have any, so. Okay. How does previous flight training at an aero center affect qualifications for classes?
So I guess it depends what is meant by the term aero center. So if we, if you have previous flight training outside of UND, you would need to take our AVIT 102, our Introduction to Aviation course, which will consist of an AVIT 112 flight lab. That's an abbreviated flight lab that you will take in addition to that 102 ground school. So the abbreviated flight lab is 7 lessons that is intended to get you familiar with and immersed in our airspace here in Grand Forks and familiar with our policies and procedures to set you up for success for the next flight course. So that's I think that's what that's referring to. So again, previous flight training outside of UND, make sure you sign up and register for that 102 ground school with the abbreviated 112 flight lab. Now we do have an option in the summer and fall. We have a class that is specifically for students in that situation that already have a private pilot certificate. I should clarify that you must have at least your private pilot certificate to utilize that option. But there is an online section of AVIT 102 that will be offered for students that already have a private pilot certificate. And you are welcome to take that online course, or you can take one of the regular traditional classes as well, if you are in that scenario.
Okay, perfect. So another question here, to pre-register for 221, I need to be on lesson 26, correct? And yes, that is done with lesson 26, right?
Yes, so you need to be complete with lesson 26 in AVIT 102 to pre-register for 221. Now, if you're doing AVIT 112 flight training, which again is that abbreviated flight lab, if you already have a private pilot certificate, you would need to be complete with the AVIT 112 flight training, totally complete. That's only 7 lessons. So you'll have to be complete with that to pre-register for 221.
Perfect. So another question here, if you don't finish the lessons needed to pre-register for summer, can you still add that course for fall?
That's a good question. So you will need to have that requirement, that lesson requirement needs to be met, whether you're pre-registering for summer or fall or both. So another way to phrase that, if you're in 102 right now and you get 26 lessons done, that allows you to pre-register for 221 in the fall or the summer. If you have less than 26 lessons, you will not be able to pre-register for either summer or fall until you have those 26 lessons. So that's the key count that has to be met, right? You have to have those lessons done to go into the system, basically.
Okay, so say I saved a spot in Ames for 221, but I finished the course on the day 221 starts. Will I be able to join the class, or do I have to register for the fall?
So I'm just trying to interpret that question here. So we saved a spot in Ames for 221, finished the course on the day. So assuming finish 102 on the day 221 starts, will I be able to join the class? So it'll be tight. So I would say the Friday before the first day of class is really kind of the deadline to get that flight training completed. And if you're not done on that Friday, then you run the risk that you are going to be removed from that roster. And that allows space for those who have completed the flight training to take those seats. If we still have space available after that process, then yeah, we could certainly explore accommodating that. But the good thing about the summer, again, is that we have 2 options for the class. One starts in May and another starts a little bit later on June 28th. So if you don't get done right away in May, then you have time to maybe consider the second summer session.
Most AVIT classes don't have an instructor, is still listed as staff. Will we have names pre-April 5th?
So the reason for that is we're trying to manage our resources and ensure that we have faculty assigned to teach those courses. You may see some changes prior to April 5th, but I would not expect that we'll have all of those names listed by April 5th. It's just the process we have to go to find faculty and ensure that they have the availability to cover the course. That does take a little bit of time. So certainly the summer is going to be our first priority to get that resolved first. But yeah, you can expect it'll probably be a little bit longer to get those names in there for the fall.
Will registration open again in the summer for fall?
Registration will stay open. So April 5th at 9 a.m. Registration opens for summer and fall, and it's not going to close until the first day of class, right? So if we begin the summer semester, fall registration is still going to be open and available. And that fall registration is going to be available until class begins.
All right. How far along in 323 flight training must we be to be able to get into 325?
So 323, being that it's only 20 lessons, you will have to be complete with AVIT 323, complete through the final stage check in AVIT 323 to pre-register for AVIT 325. We found that 325 is one of the courses where the prerequisite makes a very big difference. So you have to be totally done with 323 to be prepared to transition into the Seminole.
So we don't have any other questions right now. I'll give it a couple more minutes. So if you guys have any last minute questions that you'd like answered, definitely don't hesitate to put them in. Did have another one pop up here. What is the requirement for 414?
414, you have to have 22 lessons done in 325. That's to pre-register again, right? And then to go to step 2 for campus connection registration, just like every other course, you have to be done.
All right, again, I'll just give it a couple minutes here in case we have any more questions pop up. Like I said, if you think of questions later, definitely don't hesitate. We may have answered them if you popped in late or anything like that. So you could definitely, we're going to have this video posted out on our aerospace YouTube channel within the next couple days here. But otherwise, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us. I will give it just one more minute here in case anyone else has any questions. Okay, we do have one more question here, maybe slightly off topic, but when will we return to in-class operations / lectures? So my understanding is the goal is fall semester. Grand Forks County has been doing a really good job on the vaccine front. We've been keeping our numbers low. So as long as that continues, the university's stance is to get everything back to as normal as possible for the start of the fall semester. So summer semester, you may still see some online classes, more online classes than normal. But for fall semester, definitely we'll start seeing the majority of those classes as of right now. Obviously, that can change at any time. So as of right now, though, the plan is for things to be back by fall. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we will go ahead and end the webinar. Thank you guys so much for attending. Like I said, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. Make sure you're talking to your advisors as well, and continue to be safe. Thanks.